Welcome back to Kinwise, AI Insights for Educators. I'm your host, Lydia Kumar, and this is episode 2 of our NC AI Solvathon series. If you haven't listened to episode 1 yet, I'd encourage you to go back and start there. I sat down with Vera Cubero and Matthew Mayo to hear about how this competition came to life and what it took to pull it off. It's a great foundation for everything you're about to hear. Because today, we meet the students. I'm joined by Nina Darnell, the Spark Lab leader for Cabarrus County Schools, where she coordinates Spark NC programming across the entire district. Nina brings a background that spans higher education, nonprofit work, and a master's in education technology, and she channeled all of that into coaching today's guests through the Solvathon process. Those guests are Sadviki, a 10th grader at Cox Mill High School with a passion for technology and math, who hopes to one day launch her own tech company, and Anwita, a 9th grader at Cox Mill High School who loves building projects and has her sights set on universities like Harvard. Together, they built NC Connect Link, an AI-powered app that helps people in North Carolina find critical resources like jobs, housing, food, healthcare, and legal aid, all in one place. They gathered real user feedback, iterated on their design, and took first place at the AI Solvathon. And they are not done yet. Let's get into it. I'm really excited to have all of you on the show today. I'm so excited about the project and the work that you did through the AI Solvathon and Future Minds. And I want to start out today by having your coach, Ms. Darnell, share a little bit about her background, and then she'll pass it to one of our young ladies here to introduce themselves as well.
I'm Nina Darnell. I'm the Spark Lab leader for our district in Cabarrus County. I plan and schedule and coordinate all of the Spark NC programming for the entire district. A little bit about background is I come from higher education. So I worked at Ferris State for about almost 9 years before I moved down to North Carolina. I also started a nonprofit when I was in Michigan. So I have an art background as well. And then I have my master's degree in education technology. And so I use all of those different things in what I do, and I can bring all of that knowledge base into Spark and C as I do my programming. And so it's really cool to be able to kind of combine all of the things that I love.
You're so well-rounded. I feel like you have this vast experience. Who are you going to hand it to?
I'm going to hand it over to Anwita.
Okay, so I'm Anvita. I'm a 9th grade at Cox Mill High School, Cabarrus High Schools.
And Sadviki.
Yeah. So I'm a sophomore at Cox Mill High School, and I have a passion for technology and math. And my goal is to become a software engineer and eventually start my own company focused on developing technology that helps people in their everyday lives.
I feel like you just queued up my question of what sparked your interest in the problem that your team decided to solve. If you could kind of share in your own words a little bit about the problem you were trying to solve, and then how did you find that problem and why did you choose to focus on that?
Our problem, like I mentioned, I really love solving real world problems with technology. And so we were just, while we were brainstorming for this, we were just thinking about all the problems in our community right now. And the biggest problem, I think, right now, and maybe most of the people just overlook this problem, but the problem is that joblessness, like people don't have jobs, and if they don't have the jobs and stuff, that leads to them not having housing, food, or shelter, or stuff like that because they don't have money. And so we thought and then yes, there are resources out there which help people find resources, but they have to go to different websites for different needs. So for if they have jobs, they have to go to a different website. And then if it's shelter, they have to go to a different website. If it's medical emergency, they have to go to a different website. But there's no a single website which gives you all in one place. And all the government websites or Google or ChatGPT or any other AI, they just give you sometimes wrong information or just long lists of links, which you don't really have. If we are stressed or something, we don't have the time to go through 50 different links because that's just overwhelming people. So we thought, how about we build a solution where they can just ask the chatbot a question and get their answer in 5 seconds, which is reliable and all of that.
One thing you said at the very beginning of your answer was this is a problem that a lot of people overlook, but obviously neither of you overlooked this problem. What do you think gave you the perspective to recognize that this was a real problem in your community and one that you wanted to help solve?
Personally, everybody goes through this problem. Even our parents went through this problem. And we know how it feels. Like we've seen them like going stressed, like we've seen them, and then they were not able to find resources on time, but they eventually did. But it took a lot of time for them to do that. And we went online, we did some research, and then we did all of that. And then we thought, okay, yeah, this is a problem not only for our parents, but everybody else.
Vita, do you have anything to add to how you kind of thought about solving that problem or how it, I don't know, like why it mattered to you personally?
Yeah, so as Vicky was saying, like our inspiration really came from seeing our own parents struggle like resources and support they needed the most. We realized that a lot of people in our community face like similar challenges, whether it's food, healthcare, or legal aid, and there wasn't an easy way to connect people to help. And that's why Ball thought like why is not build a solution that makes a real difference for our communities.
Did you have a moment when you were building your solution where you thought, okay, this feels like it could turn into something really meaningful? And it, I don't know, did you have a moment where it went from like an idea to something that felt really real and tangible?
Yeah, so the moment that really hit us, it's because when we started testing our app with real people across different counties and different cities in NC, because we made a feedback form and we sent it over to different, like the people. First, we sent it out to Miss Darnell, and she sent it over to the people she knows. And then personally, we reached out to local organizations and all of them, like libraries or there were some organizations that already were helping these kind of people. So we reached out to them. We reached out to our school teachers. We reached out to our administration. We reached out to many people and they sent it over to the people they knew. And then, so when they started saying, okay, wait, this is actually really helpful. And some people also mentioned that if this is like really in existence, this could change everything. And it could actually help millions of people in North Carolina. And because they also mentioned that finding the resources really quickly without having to struggle is like really helpful. So that's when we really realized that, okay, this is actually something impactful to our community.
What gave you the courage to take what you had built and then put it out into the world? And what was that like for both of you?
To be honest, we wanted to know like how our app is. Like we wanted to get genuine feedback from them. So first, that's why we reached out to the people we knew and were comfortable with so that they would give us like feedback. And then eventually, once we got comfortable getting that feedback and improving it and all of that, it went out to many other people. So it kind of went like,
Miss Darnell, I know that you played a role in helping connect what they had built with actual people who tested it and gave feedback. What was that experience like for you to be able to say, hey, my students that I'm coaching have built this?
It was a great experience for me because I felt like they needed to have different eyes on it. And so as they come in and we meet and we go over it, I'm going to give them a certain amount of feedback, right? But I know what their process has been from start to wherever we're meeting at. So I think it's important to be able to get different eyes on it, fresh eyes, to kind of see exactly what they're doing. And so I sent out their feedback forms with the app attached to it so people can use the app and kind of see how it works and what it does and if it's doing what we intended for it to do. And then the other thing is kind of getting them ready for their pitch and using the tools from the feedback, taking that information and applying it so that once they're ready to do their pitch, they can say, okay, here's what we got from our feedback. And these are the changes that we made based on the feedback that we received. And I think that really made them stand out a lot.
Yeah, that's so compelling when you're able to take feedback from real people and then implement that feedback and make what you're building even more useful. But I want to kind of walk back because I know you built this product and part of the AI solvathon is that you're solving a problem using AI tools. And so I would love to hear more about your process and how you actually created your application and what it looked like for you to build initially, get that feedback and then make edits. What was that like and how did you do it?
So we were really surprised like how AI can actually help you think creatively and strategically and not just give answers. So it helped us organize information, explore ideas, and even suggest solutions that we hadn't even thought of. So it felt like having a teammate who could really support us in our app.
Said Vicky, what about you?
the big part of Solvathon is the part of AI. in our project, AI was a really important part of how we build app. And I did most of the backend part. We made the AI work as intended because I know many AI tools are giving incorrect information or collecting personal data and misusing it and all of that. We personally went through the whole thing. We made sure that it's not collecting any personal data, it's not giving any wrong information and all of that. And we also used it to help us understand the input better because before I started this project, I didn't have much information on how this all works. So I did some research.
What AI tools did you use to build your project?
So we use tools like ChatGPT and Claude and all of that because we needed help with like debugging stuff. Because when we actually write the code and it doesn't work, we don't have like many people to turn to. So the only tool we could turn to is AI, although it might not be right all of the times, but it's mostly right. So we use the Claude and ChatGPT to help us debug. And then we just like, we did the whole main coding part, but it helped us debug and all.
Did you have experience coding before this project, and had you built applications before?
Yeah, I built a couple applications before this Solvathon, but Solvathon was the only thing where I used different languages and in like one application. Before, all I did was like maybe Python, just JavaScript, or just JSON or something like that. But I never really like combine all the languages and try something new.
Anwita, did you have experience with coding before this?
Yeah, I did few of the apps and like websites too. The as Vicky said, there's a main one where we actually combine all of our languages and work together.
Yeah, that's a big jump to be able to do this combination and then build something that you were actually testing and getting feedback from real people. How long did it take you to build your application?
I would say it took about like month and month to month and a half, I would say. And so the first application we built for this Solvathon, like our NC Connect link, it was not that advanced and stuff. So when we actually became the finalists, we improved that and then we sent it over to the feedback. And based on the feedback, we kept editing it until the very last minute. And then even now we are taking it further and we edited the app again. And then we are putting it further for competition. And eventually we'll make it fully functionable and put it into Play Store and Apple Store.
So you have kind of a long-term plan of what you're doing. You didn't just stop. You have your next competition, and then you'll try to roll this out. What's the next competition that you're working on right now?
It's Ready Set app. So it's similar. It's just not like AI, but it's like a competition where you build mobile apps to solve a community problem. So yeah.
What was the hardest part of building your solution?
So I would say the hardest part was making sure the app actually responded correctly when in different situations. So like, you know how humans are like humans, right? They're not handbots. They're not like robots. They cannot type in the way I wanted to type it in, right? So the different people type it in differently. So I want to make sure that our app responds no matter how the user types in and gives them like accurate results and all of that. And then some people will also type in with a lot of typos, a lot of messy, unclear ways. And so I still want to make sure that it works smoothly. It doesn't like get like interrupted and all of that. And then making sure it was just like working properly was the challenging part.
And Wito, is that the same most challenging part for you, or did you have something else?
Figuring out like how to design the app, which is like really simple and easy to use for everyone. And since our goal was like to help people find quick resources, we really had to think about accessibility and clarity. So making something like that works really well and easy to understand and definitely was a challenge.
As one thing that you've talked a lot about is going through those feedback cycles. Did you get a lot of feedback that helped you understand how to make this more clear?
Definitely, yeah.
What was do you have like a piece of feedback or something that somebody told you that was kind of like surprising or really changed how your app functioned?
We had a lot of good feedback we got because before we actually finalized our app, some people said that it was not responding the very first time. Like they had to repeat themselves and all of that. And some people said that it didn't understand when I typed in like something like a typo or something like that. And the typo handling, we added it based on the user feedback because before we finalized the app, we didn't have the typo handling and everything. And so when people actually said, okay, yeah, this is like not working when I just type in something like in a plain human language or like a typo or something like that. So we fixed it. And then the resources, sometimes it had limited resources before. Like it only had like major urban cities in NC. So people said that it was not working for the other cities. So we added all the cities and stuff. But after the Solvathon, we included all the cities across NC, like even rural and urban areas. So we're definitely taking it from the feedback.
I use a lot of typos when I type things into apps, so I'm glad you fixed that. Rita, do you have a different piece of feedback that you want to talk about?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm curious, I mean, this project you were doing in school, but also it's very different from what you usually do in school. And so I'm wondering, like, from your perspectives, what skills did you develop as you prepped for the AI Solvathon, did you develop that you don't usually get to develop in school?
So this project really taught like how to approach problems critically and like communicate clearly. And so I learned like how to like think from others' perspectives, like really considering like what they need and how our solution could help them. And using technology to create real world problems was a skill I hadn't explored before, and it's something I'll carry forward.
Vicky, what about you?
In school, all I do is create like normal projects and all of that. For me, at least, I haven't been involved in like tech heavy courses in my school yet. So the process I went through this like project was really like different from what I do in school because like I'm really interested in tech and I want to build some solutions that actually help people out. But I don't get to do it in school because it doesn't have like all the courses and all of that for it. So definitely, and that's the main reason I got into Spark C too, to learn like all this skills needed for my passion. And I just combined all the skills and then built this project.
Very cool. How did your teachers or mentors support your work during the Solvathon process? And what were some specific things they did that helped you move forward?
So our teachers and mentors were really helpful, especially when it came to giving us feedback and helping us think more deeply about our idea. They really push us not to just focus on building the app, but they also think about the real impact it could have and how we are presenting it. For example, Ms. Darnell, she really like helped us get the feedback or help us like get the presentation skills we needed so that we could like actually pitch it really good for the solvathon and all of that. She also helped us getting our like idea like in actually implement it and all of that. So they gave us suggestions on how to improve it, and then a final version was the outcome was like really good.
Anwita, other ideas of things that teachers or mentors did to help you?
I would just say like they really ask us questions that really made us think deeper about a solution, and their feedback obviously made us stay on track and build our app more stronger.
When you think about like the regular school day, most of the time you don't have space to build a project like this. Do you see opportunities in any, I don't know, in your classes, just in high school in general, for there to be more projects like this? And if there are, what do you think teachers or principals would need to do to make this more accessible to students who didn't get to participate in a who don't participate in a solvathon?
I think putting courses like this in schools will be really important, especially in tech focused schools. Like, for example, our school, it has a lot of tech courses and it also has a separate program for tech, which helps build Python developing skills for future generations. Since they're already focusing on the future aspect, I think problem solving skills, especially using tech, is also a really important skill that students must learn. So I think adding the course like that in the regular school courses, making it a part of like daily school courses and all of that would really be helpful and also very engaging for students who enjoy using tech skills.
What do you think, Anwita?
Yeah, I feel like so since we already have like courses like tech, like Python, especially, maybe like really teaching them like how to like build projects like from scratch and giving them feedback on that and like probably like simple projects and really like having like a passion class, I guess, will really help students.
It's interesting because you learned tech skills and you implemented tech skills, but you also have talked about problem solving. You've talked about pitching, which is presentation, how you carry yourself, how you speak. And you talked about feedback and reaching out to people and then taking feedback and implementing that. And those are all skills that people use as adults in their jobs all the time. And so do you those were other skills that I feel that I heard you talk about that I think are really powerful and cool that you were able to learn. Miss Darnell, did you see them learn other skills throughout this process that I didn't name that are not tech focused necessarily?
Collaboration, working as a team, they did a really great job doing that. And listening to understand so you can make an informed decision after you've listened to whatever, comes with that. I think they gain those skills as well as they continue to kind of work in those areas. They definitely gain those skills as well.
It's just so cool to hear about like what you all were able to do, but also what you were able to learn that I really see carrying forward into whatever amazing things that you choose to do with your lives next year and the year after that and throughout your entire lives. So your project focused on helping people find critical resources. And so when you think about real people, and you talked about your parents a little bit at the beginning, when you think about real people using this to solve real problems, how did that change the way you designed your solution or you set up how people interact with your tech product?
When we thought about real people, it changed everything how we designed our app because we realized that people using this will be or might be stressed in a hurry or not very comfortable with technology. We focus on making the app as simple and as clear as possible. And that's why we added features like natural language input, multilingual support, and quick responses. So we didn't want to want the users to have to think way too much or just like act like robots basically. We just wanted them to work for, wanted our app to work for them like perfectly. They don't have to like stress a lot because they're already in so much stress and we don't want to like stress them more. So our whole goal is to make our app reduce the stress out of the people. So yeah.
Do you have anything else that you thought about when it came to I don't know, people have ideas all the time, but I think what's really cool about what you did is you thought about the person that you were solving the problem for, and then you got feedback from people who would use it. And so how did that impact your design?
Yeah, so as Vicky said, like it really made a focus like to make our app like simple, clear, and really practical. So we wanted something that anyone can use without confusion, like especially during stressful situations. So we prioritized on features that will actually matter to people the most,
What features did you think would matter to people the most?
being like simple and easy to accessible and really working as how they want it to be.
So when you think about the next idea you might have, what do you hope could happen with this idea that you created? Or what do you hope that, like, when you think about yourself in the future, what kind of problems do you hope that you're able to continue to solve?
So we hope that NC Connect link could be adopted more widely so that people can quickly access the resources whenever they need it the most. So our ultimate goal is to make it a trusted go-to tool that helps communities and families in a meaningful ways.
Awesome. Sadvihi, do you want to add anything?
No, I think she covered most of it. So we just want to make our app like accessible to all the people across NC. And if it really works out, then we also wanted to expand like whole nationwide and help people out.
Amazing. So, if other students across the country have opportunities to do things like you all did in the Solvathon, what kinds of problems do you think they might try to solve, or what advice might you give to someone who's in a similar situation?
I think students would come up with many creative solutions. And since teens are like really aware of challenges around them, and I think they will come up with problems in their communities. And if they had tools to build solutions with AI, they could really make a difference in their communities.
Do either of you have advice for a teen who's thinking about approaching a challenge in their community and trying to solve it?
Yeah, I would say definitely they should focus on the problems which are not already being focused on. So, like, especially for the rural areas, like maybe focusing on something like that or problems that are often overlooked in their community. Like, nobody cares about them, but it's still a major issue. And maybe, like, if let's say finding something is really expensive, maybe try to find a solution that's like will make it less expensive and all of that. So overall, they should just focus on how to make their community even better.
Amazing.
And
Anwita.
yeah, as what Vicky said, like look around your communities and what problems you want to solve, and like really go with your curiosity and interest. And I would say mainly like break down into like small steps and reach out to people when you need help. And yeah,
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the future of your app, and then I have a closing reflection about what it taught you that you are capable of or students are capable of. And I'm going to ask all three of you that. But I have a couple of like just questions about your app because I feel like people will be curious. One, if people want to find your app or see it now, is there a way for them to do that, or do they have to wait for NC Connect link to be published on the App Store?
So currently, our app is accessible via a public sharing link, and which works perfectly. But the thing is, we have to keep republishing our app because we're on a free version of the thing we built. So I would say right now it's available, but we just have to keep republishing it.
Can we link a version of your app in the show so that people can see it, or will that be weird for them?
I think we can do that. I think just keep republishing it. Yeah.
I think people will be curious who listen to this. They'll want to check it out. I know I'm like, I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
I will,
Go ahead, Mr. Arno.
on the image that I sent you, it has a link to their app on there.
Perfect.
Also, that QR code on there takes you right to the app as well.
Going back to the link, we made updates to our app, and then the previous link doesn't really like work. So we had to make a new link. We had the new link, and then I can send it over to Miss Arnell, and then she can send it over to you.
My next question is about the competition that you're in right now. I can't remember the name that you said, but the new competition you're in, when will you find out about the results, or when does that take place?
around like April, like into the April.
Okay, so you'll probably by the end of April, you'll know where you stand. So there's going to be a big update.
I think the finalist sessions come out next week, and then the finalists, like the top 8 or 10, I think, they will go to our headquarters in Louisville, NC, and they will present it there. And then the top 3 teams will be gifted like annual products or something. I think the first place gets like 700 worth, and then second place gets like 200 or 300, and the third place gets 100 or something.
Very cool. And then my last question, when is your goal to publish this on Google Play and the Apple Store?
I would say we're right now planning to do it by the end of summer because we'll have the whole summer to reach out to like different people and get some advice on how to do it and stuff because we don't really have an idea of how to do that right now. So I would say by the beginning of August, we should be doing it.
Are there specific resources that you need right now that would help you? If anybody's listening to the show and you're interested in supporting the Future Minds team and the NC Connect Link app, what do you need right now to help you move forward to meet your goals?
So I think we definitely need some advice on how to get it into App Store and Google Play Store because we honestly don't know how to do it and all of that unless we go into the deep research of it. So I think that would be really helpful right now.
Ms. Darnell, if people are interested in supporting them, I can have them reach out to me. I will put them in contact with you. People ask me that all the time. I'm working on a business right now, and people say, "What can I do to help you?" And sometimes it takes me a minute to figure out what I want. But it's such a good question, and I think can really help you find a lot of resources when people are when you're able to articulate what you need. So my last question, after my side quest into the updates on your apps, is when you think about this experience where you were identifying a real problem and building an AI solution, what did it teach you about what students your age are capable of? And I'm going to have each of you answer that, and any of you can start.
So I think for me personally, it really showed me that the students of our age are capable of way more than what usually we think. So if we're given the chance to work on real problems, not just like regular school assignments, we can actually build things that have real impact. And for me, this project wasn't just about coding. It was about understanding a problem, working as a team, and creating something meaningful. It made me realize that we don't have to wait until we are older to make a real difference. We can start whenever our curiosity begins or whenever we want to do it.
Yeah, so before this, I didn't realize like how much like we can do as students. So working on this app like really showed me like how to tackle like serious challenges, like using technology to help others. and really put our ideas into the world. So it made me feel proud of like what we can accomplish like when we try our best.
I think high school students can accomplish so much. And a lot of times things get in the way as far as like they'll think that it's a lot more difficult than it actually is. And then where you're able to kind of show them that it's really not that hard. All you have to do is follow these steps, and you can make those different things work. So it's really cool to kind of see those light bulbs go off once they start realizing that, oh, yeah, I really can do this. And then that kind of really opens them up to so many other possibilities and things and the openness to try more stuff. So it's really cool.
Ika and Wida and Mr. Nell, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with such openness and enthusiasm. What stayed with me from this conversation is that these two young women didn't start with a cool tech idea. They started with a real problem that had touched their own families. And from that starting point, they built something, tested it with real people, improved it based on what they heard, and took it home and took home first place. That kind of thinking, human-centered, community-rooted, iterative, is exactly what the series is about. If you want to check out what they built, there's a link to NC Connect link in the show notes. Go check it out. And if you're a developer, educator, or tech professional who'd like to support the Future Minds team as they work toward publishing on the App Store and Google Play, reach out to me and I'll get you connected. We've got 2 more winning teams coming up in this series. Stay with us. You can see all that at our website, kinwise.ai/podcast. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and stay Kinwise.